There seems to be this overwhelming rhetoric that the push for a $15 minimum wage is causing the automation of the minimum wage job. Take the coverage on McDonald's new order kiosk, which aims to automate the cashier job. A bunch of news sources have been reporting this as a consequence of pushing for a $15 minimum wage, but here's the thing, the automation of these jobs was inevitable. Corporations exist to make money. As such, every decision they make are in the interests of that bottom line. Currently, these cashier machines cost $35K, but tech gets cheaper with time. As the market gets more and more of this automation tech, its market value will drop, and as demand decreases, people will find cheaper and cheaper ways to build said tech so that they too can get a piece of the pie. So although aforementioned news stories make the graph seem like this, it's really like this. Even at a static minimum wage, eventually it would reach a point where having cashier machines would be more profitable than having a human worker. Not raising minimum wage isn't the solution, so the question is, what is? Well, at this very moment, it seems like there are two main schools of thought on what's going to go down, and as such, their respective solutions are different. But before we go further, let's establish one thing. Jobs are going to get automized. Amazon Go will end the supermarket job, the self-driving vehicle will end the trucking and taxi job, etc. This will lead to the exodus of million upon millions of workers, but this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because this automation could lead to a post-scarcity economy, a hypothetical economy in which most goods can be produced in great abundance with minimal human labor needed, so that they become available to all very cheaply or even freely. And that is scenario number 1. So science has advanced enough that we can produce enough food for everyone, but people still go hungry. This is because someone needs to grow the food, someone needs to harvest the food, someone needs to ship the food, etc. Therefore, even though we have the hypothetical ability to feed everyone, people still fall through the cracks because we need an incentive structure to get through each step, because people need to be motivated. Currently, capitalism is that incentive structure, and while it's definitely not perfect, it may very well be the best system currently available to us. However, in a post-scarcity economy, we won't need human input, and since we don't have the cost of the people, we can make sure everyone in the world can get food. The only cost would be energy costs, which is solvable with renewable energy, raw materials, which is either already there, solvable with asteroid mining, better recycling, etc., and maintenance of the automation systems. But even humans need maintenance in the form of food, water, sleep, healthcare, etc. In this scenario, automation could lead to an economy where people won't need to work to survive, because all the basics will be accessible to everyone. This in turn would lead humanity to be free to pursue creative work. People wouldn't have to work, and certainly many people wouldn't, but there would be many people, myself included, that would want to continue to work, and as such would find their satisfaction through pursuing creative endeavors. In this scenario, the free market will take care of most things, with only a little bit of government interference required in the form of helping people during the transition period, and or with a small stipend in the post-scarcity economy. Scenario number 2, however, isn't as pretty. Everything will go to shit as automation replaces old jobs quicker than it creates new ones, leaving people without the income they need to afford the basics to live. This would lead to one of two outcomes. Outcome number 1, people robbed of their livelihood will be unable to afford the basics to live and will be left to starve on the street. Outcome number 2, in response to massive unemployment, the government will establish a universal basic income. Now, of course, this money would have to come from somewhere, and this would likely be through the taxation of the corporations that use the aforementioned automation processes. Corporations will still be incentivized because they get workers that can work 24/7, more efficiently, and would not sue. The people would win because the prices of goods and services will decline and they'd have a stipend to subsist on. Eventually, this would lead to a scenario similar to scenario number 1, as the prices of goods and services go lower and lower until everyone can afford the basics. But scenario 2 will likely have more hardships, as the corporations and the people will fight for their best interests. These interests will sometimes coincide and other times will not. Similar to scenario 1, universal basic income will lead to a society where people don't need to work to survive, but many people will continue to work through pursuing creative endeavors. In scenario number 2, the free market will need significant interference from the government in order to secure the best outcome for the majority of the people. Personally, I believe that we're going to experience a mix of the two scenarios. While scenario 1 is ideal, the reality is that the ideal situation hardly ever plays out. Therefore, I believe that while the free market will solve some of the issues presented by automation, there will be a need for government interference in order to have the best outcome for the people. That being said, I'd love to hear what you think is going to happen. Do you believe that scenario 1 or scenario 2 is going to happen? Do you think it's going to be a mix? Or do you think I'm full of shit and something else is going to happen? I'd love to hear what's on your mind, so let me know.